Greetings everyone, this is Connor from Dagora TV, and in this video I'm asking the question, what will Bethesda announce at their E3 press conference in 2018? So on the 2nd of March, Bethesda released a video on their YouTube channel that said save the date, and it was a video confirming that they'll be having an E3 press conference on June the 10th, 2018, which was putting to bed the rumours that were possibly that they weren't having one, or putting away the speculation that I took part in that said maybe there's actually a chance they won't even have one this year. So nice to get that confirmation out that they are having one. I'm looking forward to it, as I always am with Bethesda's E3 stuff, so it was nice to get some confirmation of it. So I decided to make a video which I kind of went into a little bit on last week's Elder Scrolls or Bethesda video, but I kind of want to break down what we can really expect to be announced and what's the speculation and what's really a pipe dream, really. So let's kind of go into it first with the stuff that we can kind of expect to be announced and expect to be at the show first. So first of all, I think the main thing we can expect is Quake Champions details and release date, basically, because Quake Champions, made by id Software, is a game that we've known about now for I think a couple of years, and we've had, it was meant to come out last year. We had like new characters announced every so often. I think BJ Blazkowicz was one that was announced at E3 last year. It's a game that personally I haven't followed a huge amount because I'm not really interested in that kind of game, but yeah, a lot of people love Quake from back in the day, so people do get excited about that stuff. But I do expect us to kind of get a little bit more details on maps and maybe some of the tournament scene, because I remember there was announcing a lot of big stuff about that when they first announced the game, about how it was going to be more for like the esports crowd, really. And I'm pretty sure we'd get a release date because the game was meant to be out in 2017 and they pushed it back. I think they pushed it back really late last year as well, so and we can kind of expect the game to be probably get a release date shortly after E3. Maybe it could be one of those things where they announce it and it's like it's out in a couple of weeks or something, and the crowd goes crazy, something like that. Something along the lines of, because I don't think a full release date would really help that game. I think it'd probably more hinder it. So we'll see about that. The next one is a Wolfenstein expansion, a proper Wolfenstein expansion, kind of like on the size of what we had for the Old Blood, which came along with the New Order, like a 4 or 5 hour experience. I think we'd probably get a release date for that as well, show some stuff for it. Release date probably around September time, that'd probably work, because it's around about a year after New Colossus came out. And we'll probably get a release date for the Switch version. All that would probably be done in like a 2-3 minute video from Machine Games, so we're working hard on the next project, yada yada yada. This is our expansion, you're doing this, this and that, and this is release date for our Switch version. And that'd kind of go down well, because the Switch version was announced at, I think it was a Nintendo Direct at the end of last year when they announced the Doom one as well. The Doom one's already out, but the Wolfenstein one isn't, which you can kind of expect, because Doom is a kind of a game that doesn't necessarily take a huge amount to run. I think it runs at 60 frames per second on the standard PS4, so getting it over to the Switch, which is underpowered compared to the PS4, makes sense that they'll be able to get it to work on it, whereas Wolfenstein's a new game, it's a very demanding game, so to be able to get that on the Switch is probably going to take a lot of work. And yeah, I feel like they've probably been hard at work. I don't think it's going to be the optimal place to play that game, to be honest with you. I don't envision it being a very good port, but if they get it to work well, then God bless them. That's what I say. Next up, I think we could maybe finally hear from the guys at Battlecry Studios. It was back in 2015 when we first saw this game, and last saw this game, I think, where they showed some stuff of like this kind of hero-based arena shooter, hero-based combat game or something weird, and everyone was kind of like, what is this? People weren't really digging it and were kind of like, this kind of doesn't look like a great game at all. So they took it away for a bit, and we haven't really heard a whisper from them since. I think we've had a couple of things from P-Highs that says, yeah, it's still knocking about in development. So maybe they went away to try and better the game and bring it forward. So maybe if they show it this year, it could be a completely different game to what we saw before. But I think we could maybe hear from Battlecry Studios, and if we don't hear from them, then I think that game's dead. I mean, I think that game's over if we don't hear from the people over there. Because, yeah, the game did not look in a fun state at all when we first saw it in 2015. And to be honest with you, that kind of little phase that we had of, of these kind of like arena shooters and some of them popping up has kind of been replaced really by the Battlegrounds vibe. So maybe it's a Bethesda battle, maybe change it to a Battlegrounds game. They can kind of do anything with this game, really, anything they kind of want. So we'll maybe see what they do with Battlecry. I'm not really holding my breath through it, I'll be honest with you. I'm not. But if they do change the game vastly to what we saw before, then we'll have to see. We'll have to see what they do with it. But I'm not overly convinced that it'll be at E3. I kind of feel that game's dead, to be honest with you. I feel like they're going to do like maybe a Prey situation with it, Prey 2 situation, where they just completely kill the game and start again, or kill the game and move on to a different thing. We could expect Matt Firewall to come out and do some ESO stuff, do all the expansions they've got for the year, maybe an update, maybe some change to, I don't know, change to PvP or something, we'll see. There'll be some news regarding ESO there, and obviously the expansions that go ahead. The ESO team tend to do 3 expansions a year, I think, or 4, every 3 months, I think, so 4 that'd be a year, so probably get the outline of like the next 2 or 3 and then tease one that they're doing in the future. Like I remember, I think, I may have my dates mixed up here, but I think in 2016 when they said, yeah, we've just released Tamriel Unlimited, or it could be 2015, I think it's 2015, when they said we did Tamriel Unlimited, we were hard at work, and here's what we've got coming up, and then I think they showed some stuff for Horns of the Reach, I think that could be the case, or something, and at the end of it, they just had their hand for the Dark Brotherhood with show teasing, and then 2016, they had the whole thing with the one Tamriel thing, which was the whole, stuff where they had basically they did the Oblivion leveling system, but for Elder Scrolls Online, where everyone was more level 2, so that means you could explore more and everything. It just made sense of that kind of game. So that was a good announcement, and I can't remember what they did last year, actually. I actually can't remember, but I think Matt Farah did come out stage and announce some things, but I don't overly remember what they did. So yeah, we'll have to see what they do this year, and hopefully they'll have some really cool expansions to bring out and stuff like that. Some new zones, maybe start filling up the rest of what they've got in Tamriel, because they've done a pretty good job of that so far. Like I know they had the Gold Coast and Anvil in the game from Cyrodiil and stuff like that. They had a little bit of Black Marsh with Craglord, I think was the first expansion they had after the game came out. Horns of the Reach, which was another one, and just yeah, like we'll see what's been going on. I'll have to maybe do some a little bit more research for ESO before E3 comes about. And same thing for Elder Scrolls Legends as well. I know we had that kind of Skyrim related expansion last year, so we're probably going to get some expansion thing related to the Elder Scrolls Legends again, and then people can get excited for that. So I think that's the stuff we can generally expect, and maybe apart from the Battle Cry stuff, that's the stuff we can expect to be at the show as pretty much near enough confirmation, if we're going to be honest with you. So let's get into the speculation stuff. The first one that is probably could happen, we'll save the best till last, of course. That's what the people are waiting for. We'll save the best till last. But the stuff that maybe people could maybe slightly expect is an expansion for Evil Within 2 by Tango Works. I definitely wouldn't be expecting a new project of sorts or anything like that from them, because as a game, the Evil Within 2 just came out a year ago, I think, and didn't do overly well. Like at least Wolfenstein, it had a poor start, but kind of picked up towards the end of the year. Evil Within 2 did not do well, really, and while I think people did enjoy the game, I don't think it reviewed overly well, but people that I saw talk about on podcasts and stuff that brought it up said that they kind of enjoyed it and enjoyed it more than the first one, so that's a good thing. But I don't think that I'm not expecting an expansion. I think maybe the moving Tango Works onto a new project, and I don't think we'll hear anything about that at E3 this year, because Bethesda are the kind of people that anything that they announce at the show, they go, oh, well, by the way, everything that we announced here is out this year, and so they'll plan to be releasing in 2017, or this year would be 2018. So I don't think that they're the kind of company to announce a project that they've started working on. The only time I think they broke trend for that was the Elder Scrolls 6. That wasn't even like an official announcement. That was just Todd Howard in an interview going on about like we have got 2 projects out before them. Next up, which is getting a little bit of talk on the internet of what could possibly happen, I'm not really buying it personally, is Doom 2. Doom 2 is, well, Doom obviously was a game that's had a little bit of legs, very, very popular when it came out in like summer 2016, and people really loved that game. People really, really loved it, and if you don't know, the same company that are working on Quake Champions, and have been doing a lot of work on Quake Champions to try and get that game out, and probably been going through crunch quite recently to do a lot of work for that game, or crunch in the near future, to really get that game up and running and get that game out, because like I said, it's already been delayed. So I think it's been way too short after Doom to get a sequel anyway. 2 years. I think that game took 5 years to make. It was a rough development for that game, for the first game that turned out fantastic. So Doom 2, you could maybe say they've got the way that they want to make it, so it'd be quick for them to do it. I think that's a good argument, and is possibly true, which means, yeah, it's like up there for speculation, but I just don't think that we've really got, the amount of time, we're not giving them respect for the amount of time they need to make that kind of game when they've got another game that they're making as well in Quake Champions. So I just don't think Doom 2 is a possibility this year. I think next year we can maybe suggest it happening, but in reality I don't think that's entirely going to be the case. I think Doom 2 is just one that's just going to be something that we just don't see this year at E3. And there's some speculation of a new Arcane game, which I don't expect happening, to be honest with you. Prey was released like May last year, I think it was, and Dishonored 2's last expansion, Death of the Outsider, was released in September 2017. So I don't really expect us to see anything Arcane related from either of the Arcane studios, because, like I said, one was working on Prey and one was working on Dishonored 2, and they've both been recently finished with those projects. So to expect them to have a new game out, I think, is unlikely, and I just don't see it happening personally. There's a chance we'll get some either Dishonored VR related thing or Prey related. If I was going to put my money on something, it'd be a Dishonored VR related thing, but I'm not overly fussed about that, and I wouldn't be surprised if we don't get it, because the VR stuff has tended to be, you know, Doom and the Bethesda Game Studios related stuff, so, you know, and Dishonored didn't really sell overly well, and nor did Prey. So even though while they were great games, Dishonored particularly, I just don't honestly expect us to see something like that, because I don't think it would gravitate to a huge amount of people. So last, but by all means not least, Bethesda Game Studios. What's going on over there? That's the last studio that I haven't talked about, and Bethesda Game Studios, as we know, the last game they released was Fallout 4, and the expansions for that subsequently after. So last year, like I and many others did, I thought the Bethesda Game Studios would have a game at the E3 press conference last year. They didn't, and they announced pretty much everything that we expected to be announced, with no surprises at all, really. It was that image and we saw even within 2, Wolfenstein 2, and that was kind of everything, and no real surprises that year. But this year, however, I think it's set up for them to come out and announce their new title this year. Todd Howard said in 2016 they're going to be more regular when it comes to announcing and revealing games to the people and to the wider gaming market, and releasing a game 3 years after Fallout 4 goes in line with that more regular idea, with the, you know, the 4 years after, you know, Skyrim. I think it was the 4 years between Morrowind and Oblivion. So, you know, 3 years is kind of, yeah, I suppose it's more regular, but it's not, you know, as ideal as what we'd expect. I personally said in a Will Bethesda have an E3 press conference video that I would get more excited for a Bethesda Game Studios game to come out this year if they announce they have a press conference, and they have. So personally, I think it makes it more likely for Bethesda Game Studios to announce a game this year. Now they've had the press conference. If they didn't announce a press conference, I'd think, okay, they've got nothing major to announce this year. It's just going to be that expected stuff that I mentioned earlier on. But what do I think their game will be, though? I do think it will be Starfield. I do think it's going to be that Starfield trademark that we've heard literally nothing about since they registered it, and really they didn't even announce that they registered the trademark. And while I'm not going to go as mental as some people on the internet that go, oh my god, the stars and the picture that they released in the little video, Starfield confirmed. I'm not going to be like that. But I just see that Starfield is a trademark that they haven't done anything with, and I personally expect it to be one of these 2 projects that Bethesda are making before the Elder Scrolls 6. They've told us they're making 2 projects. Why can't it be Starfield? You know, it makes sense for them to do something different. They said it's going to be bigger than anything they've done before, but a Bethesda-style game. Having it in space is different than anything they've done before, and it's going to be fairly easy to make it a Bethesda-style game with their skill set and everything. And to be honest, I think it makes sense, and I think it would be better for them, though, to do like a Fallout 4 related thing that they did in 2015, and that was announced the game before the show. Fallout 4 did it for a completely different reason than what I expect Starfield to do it for, because in reality Fallout 4 did it to avoid the game getting leaked. When setting up the show floor and all those people that go there and put the stuff up, set the computers up and everything, there would have been a lot of Fallout 4 related stuff, because at conventions after that, there were like, even at E3 on the show floor, there was like a Fallout 4 booth where you could go and watch gameplay and watch Todd Howard take you through it all and everything. There's a lot of Fallout 4 related stuff on the show floor to get people excited and people that were at the show to be able to see it. So with all that people setting it up, and Fallout 4 at that time being the most anticipated game in the world at that point, it's going to be very, very hard to keep it under wraps. You know, not someone taking a picture of it on the phone or anything, or coming out and saying, I've seen a Fallout 4 banner that I had to put up today on the E3 show floor, so Fallout 4 confirmed for E3 this year, and so on. So it would have been leaked before the game came out, whereas what they did, they had that little cool website thing where they had the trailer, and they come out and showed about half an hour of stuff on the show floor. Starfield won't have the issue of it being leaked with it being a new IP, but I think that Todd Howard walks on stage on E3, a lot of people in the gaming industry and the wider gaming market will be expecting Todd to announce the Elder Scrolls 6. Us guys that watch these videos, guys and girls that watch the videos, follow every bit of news from Bethesda, know for a fact that the Elder Scrolls 6 is years away. But you know, personally, I follow a lot of gaming personalities, I follow a lot of gaming outlets that talk about this kind of stuff and talk about predictions and everything, that don't necessarily follow Bethesda a whole bunch. And all of them, pretty much all of them, when they've been talking about early E3 predictions and stuff, are talking about the Elder Scrolls 6 being at E3 and how there's a big chance of it being there and stuff like that, and like how it could be this year, released at the end of this year and stuff like that. So it's not a message while us guys, you know, that watch these videos and go on the Bethesda subreddit and stuff, can be out and be like, it's so obvious it's not happening, it's not an issue for them to worry about. The wider corners of the internet haven't received that message, and the wider corners of the industry haven't received the message that the Elder Scrolls 6 isn't happening for a long time. So I honestly don't think having Todd Howard come out on stage without Starfield already being announced would go down well. I think people would walk away and be like, what the fuck's this Starfield thing? You know, like, I've been looking forward to the Elder Scrolls 6 for years. I love Fallout and Elder Scrolls, and I've been looking forward to it, and they're just giving me this new thing. Whereas us lot, while we're a little bit disappointed when we heard, you know, that Elder Scrolls 6 was years away, we've kind of come around on that now, and we're kind of looking forward to what Bethesda can announce next. So hopefully, you know, Starfield will be announced this year, or some Bethesda-related game, you know, Bethesda Game Studios game will be announced. Whether it's Starfield or not, we'll see, but I personally think it will be Starfield. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to Bethesda E3 press conference this year. Let me know what you're looking forward to. Do you think I'm in line? Have I forgotten anything? I kind of took a lot of time researching what could possibly come about this year, so I feel like I've kind of nailed it down. I feel like, yeah, them pretty set in stone things would lead to, you know, if they just had those, probably one of the worst E3 press conferences of all time if they just had that. But then you've got that, and then that with a new Bethesda Game Studios game, I think you could take it from a bad conference to a good press conference. Not as good as, you know, the heights of 2015, for instance, 2015 Bethesda E3, but it would make it to a good conference, I think, and one that people would talk about and go away and be like, yeah, we're really looking forward to Starfield. You know, any Bethesda Game Studios game at press conference would make it good, and if the game looks good, the game's got to look good as well. It's got to look polished. It's not going to be bugging out on stage or whatever. They've got to make it presentable, and having Todd on stage would make it good, in my opinion. Make it be able to present that game. But yeah, let me know what you think about the chance of it being at E3 this year. What are you looking forward to from Bethesda at E3? Is there anything that I've mentioned that you're looking forward to? Any chances of stuff and everything? Let me know what you think. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you guys on Friday for my games I played this week video. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you later.